So I wanted to come on here and talk about Robert Garcia's boxing record as a coach. The year has come to an end. His last fights were he had 4 or 5 fighters in Tijuana, and then he had on December the 12th and December the 13th, Saturday, in Stockton on the Matchroom boxing card. Um from Saguayo, Michoacan, Cardenas fought, and he had a very good performance. He's had some performances where he's stepped up to to a big stage like that, and it didn't. He was a little bit too nervous, but it looks like the year has come to an end. Some of you may or may not know this, but I keep track of Robert's record. Uh, on the computer. I keep track of the wins, the losses, the performances, the fighters' names, the date, and where they fought. I've been doing this for a few years, and I'd really like to. I'd really like to ask the audience or my subscribers or anybody who sees this video to help me out with the possibility of keeping other teams' records. I don't really think you understand. I didn't understand how extensive the work that goes into a team that has 30 plus professional fighters, and it's a lot of work. And he averages between 70 and 80 fights a year. After the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, he had fighters. He had there was a year where he got close to 100 fights in one year. I'm talking about Robert Garcia. Um, Now, when I talk of RGBA, that's an acronym for Robert Garcia Boxing Academy, and that includes his son Pita Garcia. It includes his dad, the Big G. His name is Eduardo Garcia. That's the trainer of himself. He trained Robert to a world championship. He trained Fernando Vargas to a world championship, and he trained his youngest son, Mikey Garcia, to a world champion. His other son was a fighter as well, Danny. Um, so the team consists of Robert Garcia, his son Pita, his dad, the Big G, um, and the next trainer that's been with the team the longest is Chepe Contreras, Jose Chepe Contreras, and then maybe Charles Tremblay, the strength and conditioning coach. And then the latest addition has been Felipe Campa, a friend of Robert Garcia from 20 plus years ago. He's also an ex-fighter from Salinas, California, and that's a big team. That's a big. It takes a lot of people and a lot of coaches and trainers to have this level of success. Um, they don't lose more than 10 fights a year. They fight almost 70, 80 fights. This year, I think it got as high as up to 85. I haven't ran the exact number. I'm probably guessing it's close to 85. Um, I would like if once you get the ball rolling. When I started this a few years ago, it was tough, but once you know who's on the team, once you know the names of the fighters that fight under the banner of a certain coach, then BoxRec has been a huge help to me. Um, I can always jump on BoxRec and filter through the schedule, and then as I'm going through the schedule, I see fighters' names that belong to the team, belong to the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. So then I go ahead and take that name and add it onto my Excel spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet just I love data entry, and I'm kind of a nerd like that. And once I have the list of names of fighters that are part of the team, then BoxRec is key for me. I just jump on BoxRec and I go filter through the schedule, and then I keep adding. Now, a lot of fights get canceled. Lots of fights get canceled. So I don't erase it off the spreadsheet. I just label it in a different color. Um, there was a button here that told me that I could do a screen share. Yeah, share screen. So I might do that. I might jump onto the I might jump onto to my Excel spreadsheet and we can walk through it together. We'll see in a bit. But I wanted to talk about. I went to Robert's gym on Friday, and they were going to have an event there from 3 to 7, where they invited a lot of community members to the gym. They wanted Robert was having the mayor of Moreno Valley and some other strong local leaders start a foundation. It was, well, I guess you could call it an inauguration of a foundation, RGBA Youth Foundation, that is going to help create opportunities for the youth, and create opportunities for veterans. So that was going on. I had a lot of things going on Friday, so I got out there. I probably got there around 9:30, and hung out there in the gym. If you've been to the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy, or if you've seen on ES News, they do sparring on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So this was a Friday, so there was going to be sparring. Um, Let me see who was sparring. Ray Murataya's training for a fight for a world title in January. So he was in there. He got 3 rounds with a certain guy. I won't say who, and 3 rounds with another guy. Who else was in there? Misael Rodriguez. I think he's like 15-0. He's a middleweight. He's a Mexican Olympian who's been with Robert for over 5 years. He fought Omar Chavez in January of last year, in January of this year, I should say, 2025. The son of the Mexican legend Chavez, and he won. Misael was in there. There was Arturo Cárdenas' younger brother, Emiliano, was in there, and he was sparring. He was sparring a kid from, I shouldn't say a kid, a man or a young man from House of Pain Boxing. Oscar Duarte was in the house. He didn't do any sparring. I don't know if he has a date or not. Who else was in the gym? There was I don't know, 10, 15, 20. A lot of them were missing. A lot of them were already in Tijuana. In Tijuana, they had a card where they had 4 to 5 fighters. Junior Coria was there. Temoc, Felipe's son, was going to fight that night. Hector Beltran Jr. fought that night. Cesar Morales, and I believe a young man that goes by the name of Oregon, Eric Pedraza Rodriguez, I believe. Bolo was not there. It sounds like they're going to put Flavio on another card, maybe on the TKO card in January. But so the gym wasn't as full as it normally is, but it was still full. I got a chance to talk to the Big G. I got a chance to talk to Robert. I shared with Robert. I told him, Robert, after looking at your record, this year is a really good year. I go, you got trainer of the year last year. And I'll say this. I told him exactly like this. I said, there's no fight this year that's bigger than Bam Estrada of last year. But Bam had 2 great fights this year. Bam Kafu and Bam Puma in Saudi Arabia. And then I said, both of Virgil's fights this year, in my opinion, are better than his fights from 2024 when you got trainer of the year. Virgil Lubin and Virgil Madrimov are better than Virgil's performance versus Bohachuk. So So Bam had two great fights. Virgil's fights in 2025 are better than his fights in 2024 when Robert got Trainer of the Year. And then I said, you crowned a new champion with Ray Murataya versus Abdulayev. And then I said, we're all human. And I said, the Boxing Writers Association, we're just human. So you can look at last year, and all his big wins came in the third or fourth quarter of the year, meaning Virgil versus Bohachuk was towards the end of the year. Then, well, I think it was Bam first. Bam Estrada came, and then within like 10 days, Virgil versus Bohachuk and Rayo's win over Gary Russell also came. So all his three biggest wins of the year came at the very end, and that's when people have to vote. That's when the Boxing Writers Association has to vote. So I said, your wins in 2025 are more spread out. You know, Cafu was early in the year, and then we started talking about that. So I said, I think this year is just as good as last year. Now I don't think you'll get Trainer of the Year because they didn't come at the end like that. And then I reminded him of the fight where Mikey could have gone knockout of the year, and I think he did on some platforms. But because Mikey got that knockout versus I want to say Darchinian, but that's not his name. Dejan Slatichinen, or I don't know how you want to pronounce it. Slatichinen, however you want to pronounce it, came early in the year. So you have another 8, 9, 10 months before the Boxing Writers Association vote for these things, and that's a long time. You know, it kind of loses its momentum. So the fact that Robert had gotten all his big wins towards the end of the year really helped him get Trainer of the Year. Now Robert says Robert and Pita say that there's a chance that Inui's father gets Trainer of the Year because he has two world champions right now, his two sons. So that's where they feel it's probably going to go. But I wrote down some notes. There was some big losses as part of the team. I like to go over the big wins first, but obviously Rayo lost his title back to Gary Russell. That's pretty. That was a, you know, losing a title in your first defense is a tough pill to swallow. You know, the team likes to hold on to titles. Once you get that title, they like to hold on to them. So the fact that he lost it in the rematch in the very first defense, that was a tough loss for the team. Um, the loss for Jose Ramirez versus Devin Haney, that's a hard loss. Not because, for the reason that Haney didn't uh, exchange punches too much. You know, Haney he boxed, and that's his right. That's his right. He had come off of a big loss versus Ryan, and it was his first comeback fight. And you know, it's hard to say whether his chin is still there. It's hard to say how he's going to feel, if he's going to be, you know, what do they call it, holding back, you know, and being trigger shy and letting some big punches go. So obviously Haney has not fought like that. Again, he fought a little bit better his next fight, but that was a big loss. It was a huge event in New York, and Jose is one of Robert's best champions, in my opinion. So for him to chase Haney around for 12 rounds, and or maybe it was 10, I don't remember if it was a championship fight, uh, was tough to watch as well. And then especially for the decision to come back as a loss. Now there is a fighter that was with the that joined in 2015 along with three other fighters for Golden Boy. His name is Jonathan Navarro. Now I don't believe he trains with Robert Garcia, but he still has a good relationship with the team. And Pita, as part of RGBA, was in his corner for a fight in Australia, and I believe another fight. He might have gone by himself to Ireland. But Jonathan, he's not part of RGBA, but Pita did corner him in Australia. He suffered a bad cut and the fight was stopped. I don't know if I remember. I don't know if I counted that as a loss, but I might have. So so the team roughly has, let me see, 75 wins. Once I counted them all up, 75 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest, and 1 DQ. The DQ was Tashiro Fierro in Tijuana, where he got overwhelmed, and instead of punching his opponent, he started kicking him. So there's 1 DQ in there. So 75 plus 7 is 82, if I'm doing my math correctly. And then 82 plus the draw, the no contest, and the DQ gets to 80, 83, 84, 85. So a total of 85 fights for Robert Garcia. This is the part where I'm gonna ask the community, my subscribers, or anybody who watches this video, if you know Freddie Roach's fighters, and you'd be willing to send that to me via a text, WhatsApp, or put it in the comments, or send me a message on Twitter or Instagram. I'm known as Sonteo_media on Instagram and Sonteo Media on Twitter or X, however you want to call it. And if you sent me a message there and gave me the list of names for Freddie Roach, Abel Sanchez, the Diaz brothers out in the Coachella Valley, or Manny Robles or Ben Davison, any of those fighters that have a stable, I'd be willing to keep track for a year, or give it my best shot. Like I said, I have an Excel spreadsheet. I use BoxRec a lot, and I go through the schedule, and then I start looking. And once I see certain fighters' names, I put them into the list, so I could easily keep track of Freddie Roach, for example. Hey, what's up, JC? Thank you for joining. So Freddie Roach has several coaches that work for him as well. Marvin being the biggest one. So if you were to send me the names of professional fighters that are fighting under the banner of Freddie Roach, we could easily keep track. Then we can compare who has the most title wins, world championship wins, who has the most national wins, who was the most active, right? As of right now, Robert has 85 fights. I think he's done for the year. I don't see anything scheduled for the rest of the year, but 85 fights is a lot. And I think it'd be worth it. I think it'd be worth it to start keeping track of some there. And then there's a lot of unknown to me. Depending on what part of the world you're from, there could be trainers that have 20 world champions, 30 world champions. I've heard people say that, and I haven't followed up and done my research. But this is where I'm asking from help from the community, from you guys. I'd be willing, if you sent me a list and say, hey, keep track of this guy. He's from Asia, and this is he's got these 10 fighters. I go, okay, for 10 fighters, let's keep track of them, and we'll see what the percentage of wins is, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the most impressive things about Robert's record this year is he turned 5 fighters pro in just 1 year. So this is like a new wave. The last wave that I can think of, and I'm sure, and boxing is like that. But in 2015, Robert signed 4 fighters. He signed Hector Tanahara, Joshua Franco, Jonathan Navarro, and Genaro Gomez, all to Golden Boy Promotions. And they all turned pro. And one might have waited till the next year to turn pro, but most of them turned pro that summer of 2015. And that journey started of a new wave. That was the first year Robert Garcia was training fighters out of 2 locations. One, his RGBA boxing gym in Oxnard, and the RGBA gym in Riverside. So eventually He was able to leave the Oxnard gym behind and just focus in Riverside. But out of those four fighters, only Joshua Franco became world champion. Out of those four fighters, Jonathan Navarro is the only one that fought this year. The other three are retired or semi-retired. Now Joshua Franco did post something on his Instagram that hinting that he's going to come out of retirement next year in 2026. But we'll see how that plays out. But where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Five fighters. Hector Beltran, the son of one of his trainers. Oh, that's good that I bring that up. Yes, the team consists of Robert, the Big G, Pita, um, Chepe, Charles, and Felipe. Those are six trainers right there. But there's fighters that bring their own trainers as well. Um, for example, Virgil Ortiz, his father comes in. Not only does his father come in, Virgil Ortiz Sr., but Hector Beltran Sr. comes in as well. So he already brings in two trainers from his from Dallas here to California to train. Ray Murataya is the same way. Ray Murataya, his main trainer is his father that has trained him throughout his entire career, and his name is Gabe, Coach Gabe. I was talking to him a lot on Friday. So Robert's business model includes the fathers of the fighters if they want to be involved. Some fighters' dads choose not to be involved. They choose to hand them over to Robert. And a perfect example of that is Josh and Bam's father, Jesse Rodriguez Sr. And he says he took them as far as he could through the amateur programs. He did his part, and then it was time for Robert to take them to the next level. So he stepped out. He's still in a managerial role, but he steps out. And there's other ones that never step out. And who's to say either is right? Both have worked out. It has worked out for Virgil, it's worked out for Ray, and it's worked out for Bam and Josh for whatever. Oh wow, 43 and can still run a 7-minute mile. That's impressive. I'm gonna jump on the treadmill one of these days. I'm gonna jump on the treadmill and see how fast I can run a mile in. Uh, uh, I think right after the pandemic, I ran 3 miles in the low in the 21, 22, 23 minute range. So I'm definitely not there anymore. But that's something that I did after the pandemic. I was kind of light on weight, and I think I ran. I don't remember if it was probably 22 or 23 minutes. I ran 3 miles on the treadmill, which is not bad. I played a little bit of handball this weekend too. I hadn't done that in months, so I might start getting back in shape. Okay, so of those five fighters, Hector Beltran turned pro. He had 5 fights in 1 year. Um, Temoc, Temoc is Felipe Campa's son. He turned pro. Luisito, he goes by the name Junior Coria. He turned pro, and he's been an amateur with the team for probably over 5 years, since Riverside. And uh, I shouldn't say kid, a young man named Eric Pedraza turned pro, and I'm missing one. And then there was a fighter that lost his pro debut on a top ranked card. His name was Cesar Donovan Morales, and he came back and had 3 wins this year. I'm missing one of the guys that turned pro. Oh, his name is Javier. His name's not Javier. His name is Flavio. Flavio Buengueno, something like that. Buen Rostro, something like that. I don't have all this stuff memorized. What about B-Fly? B-Fly, B-Fly was a huge prospect. Probably one of Robert's biggest, most marketable, most talented fighters. He got him at 2-0. So he had already turned pro and he already had his second fight. Robert drove down to Phoenix for his third fight, and then I don't remember what happened with the fourth fight, but then what I have B Fly's either fifth or sixth fight on a Robert Garcia card here in it was in 2019. in San Bernardino. That fight has like over 20,000 views. That's probably one of the biggest videos I've ever filmed, uh, viewage wise. That kid had a lot of momentum. He had a great personality. He was very marketable. He was from Phoenix, Arizona. I can't go into detail, but there was a fallout with the team and B-Fly. And he kind of, I continued following him on social media, but he went through some really, let's say, mental health issues since the departure of the team. And I don't want to go into details. It's not my story. I'd love to interview him one day and for him to talk about it. But only until recently did I realize the depth of his mental health issues. But I'm glad you brought him up because B Fly, like I said, that was probably like the first video I've ever put on YouTube. It was that overnight it had like 10,000 views and it doubled within a few days. So his real name is Brennan Macias. He goes by B Fly. His name is Brennan Macias, and I forgot his middle name, but he was from Phoenix. He ended up probably he had a couple losses, and then he fought for a WBC youth title in either Mexicali or Tecate or Tijuana, and he lost. And he's doing good. He's doing roofing there in Arizona. I still follow him on Instagram. He's a good kid, but he really had a hard time with. Um, I won't go into detail. I'd love to interview him. He's a great kid. It sounds like he's doing really well, so I wish him nothing but the best. But I'm glad you brought him up, JC. So Beltran, a young man named Morgan, another Flavio, his nickname is Bolo, Demok, and Junior, and then also Donovan Cesar Morales had a 3-0 after going 0-1. I know this is 27 minutes. I only want to be on here for like three more minutes. There's newcomers, Raul Curiel. It's good to mention Raul Curiel as part of the team. He had some big wins. Anthony Cuba is part of the team. Also added to the team is Kristik Bazaldua. Three fighters lost their undefeated records this year, 2025. Panterita, and he had a huge family issue. So it's very. I think he lost his brother. So it's reasonable that he's going to have a tough time performing in the gym after having such a huge loss in his family. Dan Cortez lost the fight recently within the last month. Leo Rubalcaba lost the fight as well. So those are three RGBA fighters that lost their undefeated records. There's some guys that are gone. Oh, Carlos Balderas also fought. Robert continues to train him. And then Antonio Mireles, the heavyweight's gone. I don't know if he's going to come back. And then Jaimes, I don't know if he's going to come back as well. There are some contenders that are doing a lot of good work. Lindolfo Delgado had a fight versus Elvis Rodriguez. He had a fight versus Goyas in San Luis Potosí. Santillan from San Diego. He's one of my favorites, mostly because he's from San Diego. Duarte had two big fights, Madueño, and a huge fight versus Sims. And Arturo Cardenas had two fights. So there's a lot of contenders. The rookies really did a great job this year. So I think technically the record ends up being 75 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, one no contest. There was a no contest for Dan Cortez in Texas, and one DQ with Tashido in Tijuana. So if I add 75 fights plus 7, that's 82, 83, 84, 85. That's a total of 85 fights. That's not the most fights Robert has had. I'd have to go back and look at my Excel spreadsheet. But I believe he's had 92 fights in 1 year. I don't quote me on that, but I do have it. Now I didn't get to screen share, but I only want to stay on here for another minute or so. But here's my screen share. Google would like to record this computer screen and audio grant access application. I might not do that today. Maybe I'll try it another day, or maybe hopefully there's a way for me to do it where I'm not live, where I can screen share and try it. So thank you for being with me. I've been doing this for a few years, and RGBA's record was a total of 85 fights. Huge wins by Bam, huge wins by Virgil. Ray Murataya gets crowned the 17th world champion. And I don't want this video to go much longer. It's 30 minutes. I try to stay between 15 and 20, but there was a lot to say today. So if you know the list of fighters from another camp and you really want to have me do some little data entry on it, please send that to me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can send me a message here, however you can get a hold of me, or you can email me at sonteo.media@gmail. And I'd really love to compare apples to apples with other trainers of the world. So let me know. I hope you have a good day, and that's it. We're done for today. Thank you for being with me.